Hello and welcome. My name's Angie Holden and I'm the blogger behind the Country Chic Cottage. Today we're going to talk about sublimation on 40-ounce tumblers. And I actually have two different versions of a 40-ounce sublimation tumbler for you to consider. So one is from Makerflow and the other I picked this up from Johnson's Plastic Plus. You can get the version from Johnson's Plastic Plus a variety of places. It's the standard one where you have to remove the handle with a screwdriver. However, Makerflow has a really innovative version, which made me want to do this video, where you don't have to remove the handle at all because the handle is screw-on. And you can actually get the handle portion in a wide variety of colors, so it opens up a ton of options for your sublimation tumbler. So I really do like this version. However, either version will work for the tutorial that I'm going to show you. This is just a start of the tumbler fun that I have for you today. Corey George with Hey Let's Make Stuff is making 40-ounce tumblers as well, but she's engraving them with a laser. So if you want more options for your tumblers, be sure to stay tuned at the end of this video. So first, let's take a look at the supplies we're going to use. The supplies you'll need are as follows. You'll need your sublimation blanks, and we're going to take a closer look at your options in a second. Heat gun, shrink wrap. Now I'm using a shrink wrap on a roll because it's wide enough to fit over these tumblers, and I'm going to cut it however long I need it. Lint roller, some type of measuring device. Now I like this tape measure from PYD Life to measure all the way around the tumblers. Heat-resistant gloves, heat-resistant mat, heat-resistant tape, as well as scissors and your sublimation print. So first let's take a look at the tumblers themselves, and then we'll take a look in Canva at how you design this sublimation print in order to fit the cups that you have. So you can purchase 40-ounce sublimation tumblers a wide variety of places. You do need to make sure that they have a sublimation coating for this video. This version already has the handle attached. However, the handle has screws, and we're going to use a screwdriver to remove that handle in order to sublimate around it. It does come with a top, and then this particular version came with a straw as well. Most of them come with a straw and a lid, and you will want to remove the straw as well as the lid before sublimation. We'll take a look at removing this handle in a minute. This version is from Makerflow, and you can see it doesn't come with a handle. It comes with a lid as well as a straw. You can take that lid off. It actually screws on, and there's also a care tag that you can include if you're selling these. And then what you do with these is you purchase a handle separately, and you can screw that handle onto the top, and then the top that comes with it would just screw down to that. The benefits of this version are that I don't have to use a screwdriver to remove the handle because it can be extremely frustrating. And then once I remove this handle, there will be tabs here that attach the handle to the tumbler. I don't have the tabs on this version, so I don't have to worry about sublimating this version. I can sublimate it all the way around easily because there aren't any tabs on the surface. So this version is easier to sublimate. And I did want to point out you purchase the handle separately, and it does come in a wide variety of colors, so you can pick a color that matches the design of the tumbler itself. So this is a great version, but I am going to sublimate both in this video and sort of the pros and cons of both, because I don't like removing this handle and I really do not like the tabs on these, and it has been one reason I haven't done many 40-ounce tumblers, so I'm really excited about this version from Makerflow. For any of these that you're going to sublimate, you will need to measure it for your sublimation print, and then we'll head to Canva and we'll actually design the print. So for this, I'm going to measure around just by inserting the end into this tape measure and getting a measurement. Now, a lot of these are tapered, so you may want to measure several different places to make sure that you get an accurate measurement. Then I'm going to make a sublimation print where I'm going to go to about here for the top, and one that comes up from the bottom and goes to about here on the bottom. So I'm going to repeat these measurement steps on the bottom. So I'm going to put this same tape measure here and make it tight on the bottom and get some measurements down here as well. Again, this area can be tapered, so do it a few different areas to make sure that you get a good and accurate measurement. Then you'll also want to determine how far down from the bottom you want to go and how far up from the top. Now, can you do a full wrap on these? Because this area is such a severe taper, it would be very hard with a sublimation print to get a really good, clean look on these tumblers right in this area. That's why I'm going to sublimate here, and I'm going to sublimate here, and I'm going to leave this area white. However, I do have another video where I do show a technique for using a specialty paper where you wet it and you can actually go over the curve. Now, it's still not perfect, but that's the only way that I've gotten even close to being happy with a full wrap on these. And I will link to that in the description below this video. So now I've measured these, I've written my measurements down. Let's head to Canva and see how to design our sublimation print. Head to canva.com, click Create a Design, do Custom Size. And I like to make my size the size of my sublimation paper. In this case, for these large tumblers, we are going to need the larger sublimation paper. So I'm going to make it 8.5 by 14 inches. Then go ahead and click Uploads, upload your file by finding the file on your computer. Go to Uploads and click the file to add it to the canvas. We're going to go ahead and rotate this 90 degrees, and it does pull in with some blank area on this side, and I'm just going to trim that off. Then I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this because we're going to need one for the top and one for the bottom. Now for this, I sort of want an all over look to the pattern, so I don't want there to be any white space between it. So I'm going to trim on both sides to where there isn't any white space in between my design once I wrap it all the way around. And then for this one, I'm going to click Position. I'm going to make sure the ratio is locked, and I want it to be 12.8 wide. Now, it's 12.8 wide, however, now it is 7.39 high, which is way too high for my tumbler. I don't need to print all this. I want it to be about 5 inches high. So I'm going to resize it to a little over 5 inches. So now when I click on this one and click Position, you can see it's 12.8 inches by 5.14 inches, and we can move that to one side. So that is for the top of the tumbler. For the bottom, I can repeat this, but this time I'm going to make it 9.8 inches, and then I only need it to be about 2.5 inches tall. So now if I click this, click Position, I can see it's 9.8 by 2.5. Then I can sort of move it over to the side so they can easily cut them apart once I print. And then I'm going to call this Succulent Tumbler Design. And we need to download it and print it on a sublimation printer with sublimation ink. So we're going to download. And in order to download this with enough resolution, we're going to download as a PDF for print. And I like to choose CMYK and download. Then I'll pull it up and print it on any sublimation printer. So I took that print I designed and I printed it on sublimation paper using a sublimation printer with sublimation ink. So for this process, we're going to need sublimation ink on this paper, and we're going to need a sublimation coating on whichever tumbler you choose to purchase. That's the minimum to make the whole entire process work. I printed a couple of different copies, so I have enough to do both of my projects. And we do want to cut these apart because one will be for the top and one will be for the bottom. So we'll go ahead and trim these on the edges. I'm going to trim up to the sublimation print. Across the bottom, I'm probably going to leave a little bit of white area just to not have to cut that extremely straight, and then trim close to the print on this side. So I'm going to repeat that for all my sublimation prints, and then we'll take a look at wrapping these tumblers. So on this version that comes with the handle, you need to remove the screws from both the bottom, and the bottom is fairly easy. However, you also need to remove the screw that is underneath here, and that can be tricky to get to. Sometimes I have to try different types of screwdrivers, like they're all Phillips but different sizes, just to be able to get it in there. Just the trick is getting it to fit in there, and I did get it. And then you just need to keep working with it to remove it. So this is definitely the most annoying part of these tumblers, is getting this top screw out. The bottom one I can usually get fairly easily, but it's getting the top one out. And I will say, use caution, be careful, because you don't want to strip these screws. They're generally a Phillips head. So once you remove those, then you just pull the handle off, and you can see that there are tabs here. And we're going to have to work around these tabs with both our sublimation print as well as the shrink wrap. For each of these, the first thing you're going to want to do is to clean it with a lint roller. This is the version without the tabs. Just work around the tabs for the other version. Then we want to add the sublimation print. So this version without any tabs, it's fairly easy to do. Now I left just a small white strip at the top here, so I'm not going to put the tumbler all the way to the top. I'm going to leave just a little area. And testing this, there's going to be just a little overlap. So my trick for that is to flip this over, use a long piece of heat resistant tape, put that right on the edge. Then we'll want to trim away any excess of that tape and cut just a sliver off the edge here, so we make sure that this entire edge is covered by tape. Then when we're wrapping this around the tumbler, what you want to do is put the edge that has the tape first and put the edge that does not have the tape over the top of the tape itself. Now, these can be tapered, so you may have to play around with this a little bit to get it tight. So we want it as tight as possible all the way up and down this piece of paper. Then we can just add some heat resistant tape. So I'm going to start at the top and I'm just going to pull this as tight as I can get it and tape it down. I'm going to continue working my way from the top to the bottom, and you just want to make sure this is as tight as you can get it all the way down. And then if everything is tight, you can probably leave this untaped. However, I do like to tape around the top because sometimes the top can have a slight taper to it. So I'll just start on one side and just fold the tape over and just keep going all the way around, just overlapping the tape slightly. And this gets the top just as tight as I can get it. So for this one, everything I did on the top, I repeated for the bottom piece. Now, this one is more tapered than the other one at the bottom. I did not make a tapered template for the bottom, so I just sort of played with it until I got something that was tight, and I cut off any excess at the bottom. You can do that, or I do have another video on making a tapered template, and you can measure both the top and the bottom and make a tapered design for the bottom. And I will link to that video in the description below this one. For this, I'm just going to use a scraper, first of all, and rub it along the seams on both the top as well as the bottom. And then the other thing we want to do is make sure the tape on the bottom as well as the top is really, really tight. And what I do is just roll it against my table while pressing down. Now, we need to repeat all of these same steps, but with the tumbler that has the tabs. So let me show you how that one can change things. First, I'm going to clean it just like before. Then I find it easiest to have the seam, even though, you know, we're going to overlap this and it's going to kind of be seamless, the seam area to be where the tabs are. I just find that a bit easier. We are going to repeat the same process with the heat resistant tape on the back. And then what we'll need to do is cut slits for these tabs. So the tumbler is going to be about right there. We could probably have it right on the top of this tab, but we will want to cut a slit for the tab here. And then cut a slit on this side. Just need to play with it, get the slit in the right area, and then we'll tape it down the same way we did before. Really the only difference is cutting around these tabs to make sure that your print fits. So I'm just going to continue, cut around those, and make my print fit this tumbler and tape it in the same manner. So now I have the sublimation print secured to both of these. So we need to add shrink wrap. Shrink wrap will create the pressure because I am going to do these in a sublimation oven. Now they do make tumbler presses that are made for this size tumbler now. I do not have one, however. So I am going to use my sublimation oven And in order to get the pressure, I will need to use shrink wrap. And I am using this shrink wrap on a roll. And so I'll just roll it out, cut it to size. And you just want it a little longer than both of these. Now, the one with the tabs on it, we're gonna have to make some slits in the shrink wrap as well before we shrink it up. So for the one without the tabs, we can just add it into the shrink wrap. For the one with the tabs, what you want to do is add it inside the shrink wrap. And this can be tricky if you have your shrink wrap exactly the right size, which I do. You could bend these tabs down, however, I don't like to do that if I don't have to. So I'm just gonna push that tumbler down in there. And then where the tabs are, I just want to cut a slit with my scissors and then work the tabs through those slits. So it's going to get you the tightest fit possible. However, anytime you cut a slit in the shrink wrap, it can expand when you heat it. So what I like to do is just take some tape. So this is just that heat resistant tape. And we're gonna put it around the slit. And what this will do is to keep that slit from extending out any further from the tab. Then for both of these, I'm just gonna shrink them using a heat gun really quickly, and I will turn the volume down on this video because the heat gun is loud. And I'll just repeat for the other tumbler. So all I did was get out as many wrinkles as possible with the heat gun to get this nice and tight. Then we'll take these to the sublimation oven. I heated my oven to 375 degrees, then added my tumbler. I did both of these tumblers at 375 degrees for 6 minutes. I am using my small sublimation oven, so I was only able to fit one of these tumblers in at a time. So I sublimated one and then added the next. After it comes out of the oven, add the tumbler to a heat resistant mat and immediately remove the shrink wrap. The hotter that you can remove the shrink wrap, the easier it will be to remove. So remove all the shrink wrap, all the tape, as well as the sublimation print. Then here are my resulting tumblers, and they both look amazing. This is the one with the tabs. This is the one without the tabs. I love how both of these turned out, and quite frankly, I can't wait to use them. So now the one without the tabs is complete. All you would do is add the top or add the handle with the top. And then you just put your straw inside, and this one is complete. This other version will need to add the handle back on with the screws. So you'll just want to work that handle back onto there and then add the screws basically in the opposite way in which you removed them. And again, this top one is definitely the most difficult. Just be careful, don't strip the screw head out or anything. And you do want to get it fairly tight as you can at that angle. Just add the screw to the top and then to the bottom, and then you would add the top back to the tumbler itself, add your straw, and this one is ready to go as well. So I did want to note a few other differences about these two. So they do both come with a box, and say if you were going to sell these or gift them, I feel like that's very important. However, the one where you have to remove the handle with the tabs is just like a plain white box, and the Makerflow version actually comes with a windowed box so they can kind of see the product inside of there. So this might be a better option especially if you're selling these. And then I did show you that the Makerflow version comes with the care tag already. So if you're selling these, all you would need to do, selling them or gifting them really, all you need to do is drop the care tag into the tumbler, drop it into this box. It's already this cool silver color, and you would have like a gift ready to go. So I did want to note that within this video, it might make a difference for some people. And you saw that both of them sublimated beautifully, came out bright and vibrant. So I don't think you can go wrong with either of these. I do find that the Makerflow version is easier, especially if you need to do several. If you need to do, you know, several for production purposes, the Makerflow version might be the one that you want to choose. However, if you find like the other version on sale or something and it's cheaper, just know that you'll need to do a little bit of extra work, a few extra steps to get it to sublimate. needing to remove the handle and accounting for those tabs. But otherwise, I love the way both of these turned out. Now, the easiest thing to do for these is the version I showed you with the top and the bottom separate pieces, white in the center. Like I said, it's almost impossible to get this middle area sublimated perfectly. However, I am going to link to a video where I did do it on one, so you can see that it's kind of possible, but it never did turn out perfectly for me. I really do like this version where I do the top and then the bottom. I feel like it's a much better look and looks way more professional. And you could kind of play with it. I did the same print on the top and the bottom on this version, but you could play with different prints on the top and the bottom if you would like. And of course you can extend it however far you would like. I just liked the look of the way I did this version. Now, if you are a plant lover, lover of succulents, I do have the file that I use for free, and you can find it in the description below this video. So head there and you can find all the supplies I used as well. Pick up the supplies, pick up the file, and make your own Sublimation 40-ounce tumbler. I really think you're going to like this one. Now, if you've watched this far, the video is about to redirect to Corey's video where she will be doing laser engraving on 40-ounce tumblers. So if you have a laser, this will open up your options for tumblers, or if you don't have a laser, this just might convince you that you need one. Now, if you are catching the replay and not our live premiere, the link to Corey's video is also in the description below this one. So either way, head there and learn how to laser engrave 40-ounce tumblers. So now, if you have any questions about anything I've covered, drop down in the comment section, ask away. If you like this video and it helped you, give me a thumbs up on YouTube. And if you haven't already, head on over to my YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. I have videos just like this one every single week, and trust me, you don't want to miss any of those. So thank you all so much for joining me, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.